Resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the County of San Mateo for stormwater inspection and follow-up services.
Thank you again, Mayor Patridge. Council, this evening you are being asked to consider an agreement with the county for inspection of businesses. And I have asked Mo Sharma, our city engineer, to provide a little more context. So he's actually not going to be speaking too much to the agreement, as he is going to be discussing some of the parameters related to clean water and the requirements put on local governments for that. These requirements, in my opinion, have become not only difficult to manage from time-consuming and cost perspective, but they are increasing at all times, and they've become an unfunded mandate. There is no source of funds to handle most of these types of requirements. So this evening, as I mentioned, Mo Sharma will be going over some of the requirements, the thinking behind some of the Federal Clean Water Act and how it affects us here in Half Moon Bay.
Thank you. Just a short information about the agreement. The County Environmental Health Services has been providing the inspection of industrial and commercial sites in the past, but because Regional Water Quality Control Board had issued a new permit in 2009, that agreement needs to be changed, and that's why the county has provided us a new agreement. Now, the Environmental Health Services do inspect most of these industrial and commercial sites for health-related inspections. It's very easy for them to provide additional inspections which are stormwater pollution prevention related, such as that they want to make sure that on restaurants, if there are dumpsters, that water from dumpster does not enter storm drain. And if there is any contractor's yard, their pollutants don't enter storm drain. Also for some recycling plant like Andrini has, the same kind of concerns. The county does charge the businesses for their services, and this will be additional charge to the businesses, so the city will not be paying any funds to the county. It will be all paid by the users. So the staff recommendation is that that you consider approving this agreement. Typically in this agreement, because they have prepared this agreement for all 20 cities for the county, they would exclude certain types of businesses. But in case of Half Moon Bay, they have been inspecting the nurseries and also the recycling plant, and they will continue to do so. So we will not be excluded. We will get the same service as we've been getting. So that's about the agreement. Now let's go a little bit into municipal regional permit. Now we will consider 4 topics in that municipal in the permit. The permit itself, then the required collaboration with other agencies, funding issues, etc. The permit, the official title is a rather long one. It's right there on top. And if we go to the next slide, then the Regional Water Quality Control Board has stated that their reason for this permit is to require compliance with the Federal Clean Water Act, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System regulations, California Water Code, and they started requiring the permits in 1990s for 4 counties. That's Contra Costa, Alameda, San Mateo, and Santa Clara. And the earlier agreements were applicable only for the urbanized areas of those counties. The new permit, which was again issued in October 2009 and became effective December 1, is a 5-year duration permit. It covers all cities, counties, and their flood control and water conservation districts in the same 4 counties, as well as certain cities in like Fairfield, Suisun City, and Vallejo. The permit total have 76 municipal co-permittees. The old permit was 20-page and 20-page long, and it generally just defined the goals. The new permit, on the other hand, is 270 pages in length. It also describes the goals as well as the methodology, the reporting requirements. So it's much more prescriptive than the old one. Pretty much all permittees agree that the new permit is much more expensive. It requires much more significant staff effort as well as monetary effort, and it's a burden on everybody. Just to go over quickly over the permit, it has 14 main provisions, and we will go into each provision. It requires that the cities develop best management practices. Some of them are defined by the board. The others, the cities have to define, but have to also evaluate. And if there is a need, the cities must then amend its best management practices as well as amend its the implementation practices, like instead of doing certain inspections so often that we increase our frequency. The major issues we will talk about the new permit are the LID trash capture devices, monitoring pollutants of concern, and also the needed resources. Just to go over quickly, provision C1, it's just administrative. Basically, it requires that if there is any exceedance of water quality standards, the permittees shall report within 30 days. For some reason, San Mateo County has received the most notices of potential violations, and Regional Water Quality Board has told the cities that they will be monitoring San Mateo County cities more closely. What that means is that they will be looking at our reports, which are pretty frequent reports. They will be looking at more thoroughly, and sometime if the reports do not follow the prescribed data or the format, that is considered a notice of violation. In some cases, the reports are a couple of days late for some cities, not happening way, and those were considered as violations.
And just to clarify, violations come with the possibility of fines. So if you haven't, if all the information is there and you filed on time, but you haven't put your period in the right place, you can receive an official notice of violation and a threat of fines. We have had that happen.
Provision C2 applies to municipal operations related to sidewalk repairs, street repairs, any washing of sidewalk, or any time we do socketing, we need to make sure that no pollutant enters the storm drain. Anytime we remove graffiti, we need to make sure that none of that graffiti material goes into any creek or any storm drain. Provision number C3. This is cities are required.
Excuse me, can I just ask one question? It says vehicle washing. Does that mean that organizations can no longer have car washes?
The water board has general policy that only storm water goes in the storm drain. Planning issues that when there is a new development, we need to make sure that we evaluate the impacts of the development on water quality and have adequate mitigation measures. We need to make sure that if there are some larger projects, that there are low impact development provisions required. We will go a little more into that. What are those provisions? And it also requires that when there is any permit request, we give them handouts regarding how during construction, how they can minimize control of sediments, as well as they also used to be that people would just have all their rain gutters tied to underground pipes, and then will just come through the curb into the street. Not anymore. The requirement is that we should have that water flow over the lawn area, so some of the pollutants are trapped in the lawn area, or the water is percolated in the ground.
This is in conflict with the fact that we're being encouraged not to have lawns anymore.
Right. Provision C4. This is industrial and commercial site controls, and this is where we are seeking help from County Environmental Health Services. And on provision number C5, illicit discharge detection and elimination. Now this one deals with that city must have a program to actively have active surveillance. In other words, that some gas stations, they will just flush somebody's radiator. Well, that's not supposed to go in the storm drain. They're supposed to collect that. We should also have centralized complaint receiving procedures and publicized to public that if they notice any illicit discharge into storm waters, they should report, and cities should take action to eliminate that discharge. Under this program also, we cannot allow anybody to drain their swimming pool into storm drains or their fountain water because it's chlorinated, and that also again needs to go to the sanitary sewer. And in many communities, the sanitary sewers don't want to have that excess water either. So there are some conflicts there between the two programs. Provision number C6 relates to all construction sites. So the city must inspect all construction sites, make sure that not only during construction that there is a sediment and erosion control, but also after construction that there are provisions there that which does not generate erosion or sediments. Provision C7, public information and outreach. There are various sub-provisions under that, and one most important one is that we must put stencils or some information on all drain inlets that this water flows to the bay or to the creek or to ocean, and we must maintain those markings at least 80% every year. We should have advertising campaigns, and typically what we do at fairs, we do provide that information to public either through the city staff or collaboratively through the county staff. We must also have at least one citizen involvement, and we have more than one. People come and volunteers, they do the beach cleanup or the creek cleanup, so those are again required by this permit. Provision number C8, water quality monitoring. We are required to monitor at least one place in Pillars-Citos Creek and report that what did we note there. We are also supposed to provide funding for regional monitoring by BASMA. BASMA is a non-profit organization. They look for those kind of the regional programs, and they help all the permittees in monitoring the regional conditions.